Alright, so you guys miss me yet? Oh, I know you do. Okay, today we're going to do an oil change on this big Super Duty F350. And it's diesel, obviously. It's a 6.7 liter, so it's a big engine. So I've got my supplies here. It's going to take 13 liters of oil, which is a lot of oil compared to a small gas engine. And you can also see that the filter is considerably bigger too. I've got my cap style wrench here that I'm going to use to get the filter off. And we're going to find out what size the drain plug is when we get underneath there. I believe it's going to be about a 5/8. Other than that, I think we're pretty much ready to go. Oh, what's that? Oh, Junior Burke says we need something else. Right, drain pan. Okay, good. Thanks, Junior. Junior's going to help me out on this project too. All right, let's get started. All right, so let's get into the engine bay. You can see where the oil cap is. And when you take the oil cap off on these big diesels, you will notice that there are two different types of oils that are labeled on the top of it. The 10W30 is for light duty applications, so if you're not hauling a big trailer with a Bobcat, then that's probably your best bet with the oil. If you are doing more severe duty, that's why it's labeled severe duty, you might want to be putting in 5W40, which gives you a higher range of operating temperatures and be better for your engine. So depending on what your application is, you can use either 10W30 or 5W40. In this case, the owner wants to use 10W30. He doesn't do a whole lot of hauling with it, so 10W30 is what we're putting in it. Now again, remember, we're putting the oil cap someplace safe where it's not going to get lost on us. And this is a good spot right there. And there's our dipstick, not to be confused with our transmission dipstick. They're right next to each other. They're always labeled, and you can see this one here is labeled as the transmission dipstick. This is our oil dipstick. We're ready to take that out when we need to. Okay, well, as you can see, the drain plug and the filter are really nice and close together, which is really nice design. You know, guys and gals, that we've worked on some engines where the filters are a long ways away from the oil drain pan plug, and so it's kind of a pain to have to keep changing the location of the drain plug. The plug is 16 millimeter. You want to make sure, again, people always remember to make sure that you've got the right size, because you don't want to be rounding off the corners of these drain plugs, because it can get you into a bit of a mess. And again, always using a 6-point socket, not a 12-point. Other than being dirty, this is pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to get this loosened off and let her go, let her fly. It's probably going to come out here pretty fast because it's a big engine. There's a lot of oil in there. I made sure I drained our container so that it's not going to overflow on us. Loosen the plug. I've got a rag handy, and I always hold on to. Whoa! And we made Junior Burke, did you get some on you? Sorry, man. Anyway, she's coming out of there pretty fast, and man, she is black. She is dirty, this oil. So we're just going to let that drain and see where we go from there. We're going to get our filter off in a second. Okay, now that the oil is pretty much drained out of the pan, and we're waiting for that to kind of drip dry, I'm going to get this filter off. At least that's what I hope. We're just going to give it a little bit of a wipe because it's a bit dirty. Make sure that I get the best grip on here as possible. Get the cap on there. There we go. Make sure my ratchet is turning in the right direction. And there she comes. Now, once this starts loosening, there's going to be a lot of oil dripping down. So if I can get the cap off now, I'm not going to get oil all over the cap. There we go. Now I can loosen this by hand. And then once I loosen it, not much coming out. Awesome. I'm going to spin it right off. Oh, there she comes. Now she's coming. So we're just going to let that drip for a minute. Otherwise, we got oil running down our arms. While we're waiting for that, this oil is pretty much finished draining. Going to wipe the pan off, make sure it's nice and clean. And to clean off the drain plug, make sure there's no grit or crap on the seal. Because then when we put it back on here, then it's going to have a nice seal. We're not going to have to worry about leaks. Now, it's important that when you're tightening back, when you're tightening this drain pan plug back up again, that you don't over tighten it. You don't want to strip it inside the oil pan, that's for sure. So once it gets snug, like now it's snug, you just give it about a 5 or 6 degree tighten like this, and that's all you need, and she's good. I always make sure that I wipe this down around here so that it's easy, really easy to see once you start the engine again if there's any leaks coming from it, but I'll guarantee you it's not going to leak. This filter looks like it's going to have a fair bit of oil inside there. There we go. Spin it off a little bit more, then more oil drip from it. We're going to give that a minute to drip before we attempt to try to take that filter off. If we take it off now, it's just going to be a big mess. And I think Junior Burke's already, yeah, he's not looking so happy right now, so we don't want to make any more of a mess than we have. Okay, I think we can probably get this filter off now. You're always going to make sure you support the bottom of the filter when you're spinning it off so it doesn't fall on you and make a big splash and you got oil all over the place. There we go. Then we turn the filter over and let it drain inside the pan. While we're waiting for that to drip, let's clean ourselves off. And we're going to get our new filter. Okay, so I've mentioned this to you guys before, that before we put a new filter on, we always want to make sure we put a nice coating of fresh oil around this seal. It helps to seal better, and it helps to make it a lot easier to take off when you got to take it off when you do the next oil change. It softens a little bit, that seal, and it just makes it a better seal. So you just dip your finger. Just dip your finger into the new oil, get some oil on your finger, and just do a little bit of a oil job around the edge of that filter there. We're just going to wait another minute yet before we put the filter on. You can see there's still some oil dripping from the housing, so we're just going to wait for that to pretty much stop to a little bit of a drip, drip, drip. Okay, while we're waiting for it to finish dripping, because this is a big filter, I'm just going to put some oil into the filter just to fill it up a little bit. Because it's a big engine, there's a lot of oil in here. We want to try to make sure that it builds up oil pressure as quickly as possible. We don't want any of the parts of the engine wearing. So I'm just going to put some oil in this filter now, make it a little bit easier for it to build up oil pressure as soon as we start it up. It's pretty much finished dripping. We're just going to give that housing a wipe, make sure it's nice and clean before we put the new filter on. And here we go. Now there's a lot of oil around that filter, so I'm just going to wipe that off. Now, in most instances, the old man can get this filter tight just by cranking it like that. You can put the cap back on here and tighten her. I'm pretty sure that she's on there as tight as it really needs to be. Yeah. So, we give it a wipe around here so that we can clearly see when we start it up if there's any oil leaks. We will be able to tell. And that's pretty much it. Now we can lower the truck and fill her up with oil. Okay, so I put in 12 of the recommended 13 liters that goes in here. I'm going to start it up now, let it run here for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then let the oil settle, and then we're going to check it in a few minutes once the oil is all drained down to the pan. I have the dipstick out. I'm going to put the oil cap back on so we don't have oil flying all over the place. And start it up. Now, while it was running, I had Junior Burke just do a quick check underneath to make sure that we don't have any oil leaks. It looks like we're good. Now I'm just going to let this set for a few minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to check the oil in a little while. Okay, so we've checked the oil, the dipstick level, it's good on it. All we need to do now is just put the dipstick back in. And we're all done. And oh, Junior Burke doesn't look too happy. I think he might have got a little dirty this oil change. Sorry, Junior Burke. We'll get you cleaned up. Say bye.